The Blue Hills farm, nestled in the green hills of Howick in the Midlands with its near 20-year-old indigenous trees, is a haven for the local birds. Farm manager Dion Bean worked on the farm as a first-year nature conservation student. He says his farming practice is based on caring for nature as he uses the system of permaculture. Bean also oversees the heirloom crops grown on the farm. Heirloom farming is a practice of growing crops that have been passed down through generations. Heirloom crops are open-pollinated by natural elements like wind, bees and insects, and can be saved and planted year after year. Livestock like pigs, goats and chickens also play a role in cultivating heirloom crops as much as their seeds that Bean and his wife Chisomo sow.
I think our first priority is to look after the soil and the organisms within that, and then that translates to healthy crops and very, very low pests and disease. So we do a whole mixture, especially with the animals as well, because we make our own compost on site. The goats is an indigenous veld goat, very hardy goat, and the pigs are also what they call a breed called Colebrook, extremely slow growing but again very hardy. So we incorporate all of those things. Either scraps go to them and the manure goes to the garden, so it's a full circle.
Bean says what started out as a household vegetable patch has turned into an heirloom niche market. Heirloom plants are known for their diverse, unique flavors, colors and textures.
If and when we bring seeds in from overseas, especially the northern hemisphere, we find that germination rate is very low, and because of the climate here, you'll find quite a bit of strugglers, but those that we pull through and harvest seed from your next generation is very strong. And they've now acclimatized within a season.
From the farm to the plate, Chef Johannes Richter says the heirloom vegetables with their interesting shapes and color add a burst of flavor to his culinary dishes.
The flavor is just not comparable to what you get in the store. Because you're cutting out middlemen on each side, so you're getting the produce fresher. Also less plastic involved on all sides as well, so it's also just the more sensible thing to do from an environmental or a sustainability point of view. And B, because of the varieties that they grow that aren't just meant to pump out produce or volume in very short spans of time, because obviously the longer something takes to grow, the more water it needs, the more manpower it needs or labor it needs, etc., 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 with not having to worry with the focus not being to worry about that, but rather what it tastes like that they produce. That really is the crux of it, and you can taste that in the varieties that they grow.
Richter especially whipped up a salad to showcase the farm's produce. Each morsel scooped up with a spoon offered a different taste sensation. Creamy tomato, fresh and crunchy beetroot and zucchini, a sweet guavadilla dressing with sharp mustard notes from onion flowers. Award-winning Durban botanical artist Deline Root paints heirloom vegetables which often have rich stories and names, such as the traveller's tomato. She'll be entering these paintings in the Botanical Art Worldwide exhibition next year. The exhibition showcases the genetic diversity that exists in a world challenged by population growth and climate change.
There is this whole dimension of just beauty that suddenly unveils itself. Like you start to notice all the different color varieties. You'll see how the light reflects off the very shiny surface, how it moves through the translucent cells of the tomato. And even if you look closely, it's very hard to see with the naked eye, but there's a microscopic almost layer of tiny little hairs covering the skin, just like we have hair on the skin of our face. And these things you only start to notice once you look carefully and you start to paint it. So then you add all of this detail to the painting and more becomes revealed. And what initially was a very ugly tomato then suddenly becomes a beautiful subject.
Experts say heirloom plants are a way for gardeners and small farmers to connect with traditional forms of agriculture and in so doing preserve our food heritage. For SABC News, I am Jade Paulser in Howick.